I'm not even mad that you beat me in fantasy football, Kyle. If you're in multiple leagues, there's different ones that you...
Right.
And by the way, I don't want to do that thing either that I hate that people do in fantasy football. If they have a league that's not going that well, and let's say they lose, especially in a rivalry game, they go, oh, I didn't even pay attention. Like, I hate that. You drafted the team. If your team gets beat, screw you. Like in our station league, I played Jay, our buddy Jay, the producer from Grant and Doug, right? And he didn't start two guys. I'm going to let him know. Hey, man, you had one guy on a bye and the other guy that's out. I beat you. You can't do that. You gotta pay it. You drafting a fantasy team is exactly, with no differences, exactly like having a child. Once you bring it into this world, you have a responsibility to grow, nourish, and finish off that child regardless of how they turn out. Like, you can't have a kid and then when you can, but you can't have a kid and then when they're 12 sit around and go, Billy's just not working out and he's not that smart, not a particularly handsome kid. I'm just going to stop feeding him.
You can't do that?
I mean, you can, but that's a bad thing. You should
duly noted.
Yeah,
okay.
Write this down, Kyle. You're going to have a kid someday, we think.
Well, I basically already do because I have a fantasy team.
But thank you. I'll give you that.
Thank you.
So I lost to you this week in fantasy football, and I'm down about that because you want to beat your friends physically. But I will say that our league is for pride.
Yes.
We're in a pride league.
Right.
Okay. I'm in a different league.
In like a K1 league.
Like a kickboxing league?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you said pride league.
Pride,
okay.
UFC
hey.
Pride. That was a deep MMA style joke there. And this league is a money league. And it's
hypothetically.
Hypothetically. And it's the first time I've been in this league 7 years, and it's the only league I'm in where it's an auction draft. And it took me a while to get used to it. And so this year, I'm 10-2. There's two divisions. I'm in first place. And yesterday, see, nobody wants to hear about fantasy football beats. But I'm a strong believer that people only want to talk about their bad beats, whether it's poker, fantasy football, whatever, betting. I also think people should acknowledge for the karma of the world when something good happens to them.
Sure.
Because nobody wants to talk about that.
Sure.
Last night I was down a point, and I had Lamar Miller, and the guy I was playing had DeAndre Hopkins. Well, I'm toast. I'm probably toast.
Nah, because the Titans always do a good job with Hopkins.
Well, not everyone's as smart as you, Kyle. So going and the little predicted average that they put out, Hopkins had like 4 more predicted points. And that average is always correct. So
100% of the time.
When Lamar Miller ran for 97 yards, I was at an elementary school multi-purpose room for my son's first basketball practice, sitting on the sideline with my phone with the game on and my kid's Nintendo Switch next to me because I was playing that when I was bored because I'm basically a 5-year-old child.
Right.
And, man, did those kids think there was something wrong with me when I started screaming bloody murder. And I'm going, get, go.
You're not the kind of guy who can control yourself in a situation like that?
Almost always.
You have to let everybody know that you're watching the football game and that a good thing happened?
I was in my own world, and then I stopped when I realized, no, I actually wasn't in my own world. I had brought a lot of scared little children into my own world who were in the middle of basketball practice. I was very ashamed of it.
Okay, that's fair.
Not very ashamed, but I was slightly ashamed. And I got the win. Thank you, Lamar Miller, and your 97-yard touchdown run. And I think we have a stat about that coming up later in the debut of Cold Hard Facts with Kyle Madson.
I hope you have that stat because I don't.
That's all right. I got a stat. I'll throw you there.
I have a bevy of. Do you see this? I even hand wrote one.
Look at all that work that you shouldn't have had to have done. Today at 8:35, the debut. Every
Copy and pasting tweets, David.
Every day at 8:35 from now on, except if we have like a surprise guest. Kyle Madson will do Cold Hard Facts with Kyle Madson, brought to you by Coors Light. We appreciate them and welcome them on board as a beautiful sponsor. Before we start the show, I want to say that the only day to me worse than the return from an extended break, and in this case we had 4 days off, is the day after, which is today. I'll briefly tell you why, because people want to hear other people bitch and moan. When I'm gone for more than a day or two, my natural body clock reverts back to its natural state. I'm a night owl. I am a natural. Some people are born morning people. I've been doing mornings on the station. Let's see, I got fired in 2012. Back in 2016. For 7 of the last 8 years, I've been doing mornings, which requires getting up at 3:30, 4 a.m. on a bad day, getting all that stuff. It's a different animal, as you well know, Kyle. Mm-hmm. It changes your life
dramatically. Even
on the weekends, generally Friday. Usually during the week, I go to bed about 10:30, no later than 10:30. I come to work, and then I take a nap before I pick my kids up, if I can. Friday nights, I'll stay up till about midnight. Saturday nights, I'll stay up till around 1. And then I reset my clock, have a short amount of sleep Sunday to Monday, and then reset it. Well, when there's an extended vacation, I reset that clock for a matter of days. So I went to bed Sunday night, and it was 1:30, which is usually way later than I will on a Sunday night. And it throws my sleep pattern off. Yesterday, I couldn't take an extended enough nap. That, for me, causes headache issues that you deal with. And then you come in today. I have migraine people will understand what I mean. I have bruised head today. It's when the pain from your migraine headache goes away, but you still have that kind of numb, bruised head. And I swear to you, I love my job. I love this shift, but it's not natural for me. Like if they came to me tomorrow and said, we'll pay you the same amount of money for mornings, but you can go back to doing 9 to midnight, I would sign a 15-year contract at that exact rate for 15 years. I would happily do it. I would love to go back to nights, but the sad truth is out of family, you can't make near the money at nights as you can in mornings, which I wish you could. I think you and I would have a tremendous nighttime show.
I think it would get ridiculous. I get even more ridiculous than this show.
Oh, it would be insane. You get a different style of people. You have a totally different outlook. Oh, and by the way, all the sports have happened for the day. And in many cases, like during Kings season, one of my favorite things about 9 o'clock is I go on, at 10 after a Kings game. So you get the immediate,
like, de facto postgame
exactly. Show. And there were times when there were huge Kings games, controversial Kings games, or big wins, where I'd stay on until 1, 2, and in one case, 5 a.m. One night we went on after a Kings playoff win, and sounds weird. And I stayed on until 5. I was going to try to stay on until 6 to hand it off to Whitey Gleason and the Rise guys. I simply said I'll stay on until we don't have any more phone calls. I said that at 10:30 at night, an hour and a half before the end of the show. I said, I will stay on, I promise, until we have no more phone calls. We had phone calls until 5 a.m. Yeah, it was crazy. One of the most fun nights I've ever had. Anyway, but we love doing mornings.
Very much.
Just wish that the mornings were at night. Meanwhile,
we love mornings. We just wish they were the opposite.
Meanwhile, Damian Barling, who is probably listening right now, who naturally gets up at this hour,
right? Because he's like healthy and takes care of himself.
Takes care of himself. He's been after this shift. He's been after this shift forever. I'm telling you, he's on my heels. Damian wants mornings. I can tell you that right now. He wants mornings, and I know you want mornings, Damian. And if they could pay me what they pay me in middays, I would hand it to you on a silver platter. But they don't. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kyle. Sorry about that. I know you'd much rather work with Damian.
Who told you?
But you're stuck with me until they fire me, probably in a few months. which I say that every year. We'll take a break. Start the show today. There's no Kings until Thursday. So we're going to delve into a little bit of football. And what we're going to do today, Kings related, because we're not going to do a show without Kings. Today is the quarter mark, sort of the season. We're 20 games in. We'll do a little quarter-way grades and discussion, a state of the Kings, if you will. Plus last night's football, James Harden goes crazy, and I'm sure we'll find something to get into that's silly. It's The Drive. We're late to go to break because of Kyle, so we'll be right back. Sports 1140 KHTK.
Side 25-30. He's to the sideline, the 40, the 50. He's going to go all the way. The 30, the 20, the 10, the 5. Rock and roll. Touchdown, Houston. 97 yards.
Oh, it's a decent call, but he didn't include, and Carmichael Davis pretty much won his fantasy game. It's kind of weird. Lamar Miller. Kyle, the longest touchdown run, 97 yards, since 2014, when Lamar Miller had a 97-yard touchdown run.
It was the longest touchdown in the NFL since Sunday afternoon.
Juju Smith-Schuster. And was that the same, too? Was Juju Smith-Schuster's touchdown the longest touchdown from scrimmage since Juju Smith-Schuster? Was that the – I feel like I heard that. So that's kind of weird.
Yeah, the same two guys have the last 4 97-yard touchdowns.
And another weird thing that was kind of a not talked about, the Monday Night Football broadcast crew, and I love Joe Tessitore. I do. I enjoy – I'm fine with him. I shouldn't say I love him. I respect his abilities. It might be the worst Monday Night Football crew since the Dennis Miller crew. They're just terrible. And I think individually, like I think Jason Witten with some work could be fine. He's just not ready. He needs to do some college football for a year.
Yeah, some just like random CBS games.
I especially liked last night, for example, when he referred to the Texans offense as a pro-style offense. That was my favorite part.
Hilarious.
This is weird because they're a pro team.
Yeah. Did you notice at the end of the game they were talking about the Jaguars?
And he kept saying Jaguars?
No.
Oh, okay, because I did notice that.
Witt goes on his whole thing about...
Witt, you know him?
Yeah, we're BFFs.
Okay.
Witten goes on his whole thing about, what went wrong with the Jags and basically how they had a miscalculation with Blake Bortles.
Yeah, I do remember this.
And so he gets done with this whole spiel about how the Jaguars messed up because they
stayed with him too long.
Basically. And Tessitore goes, "Great, Boog, what are your thoughts on the Jaguars?" And McFarland just says exactly
the same exact thing
what Witten said.
He wasn't listening.
Yes.
He wasn't listening. And that's
not at all.
That's a terrible thing to do.
It's a bad look.
One storyline that didn't get talked about, I think, enough in this game, maybe because there was other things going on, but we very nearly had, for the second time in 24 hours, record-tying performances by quarterbacks. Marcus Mariota was, I believe, 18 of 18, and then missed a drop-off. It was a drop-off pass, and then proceeded to knock out, I think, 4 more. It was, minute left, they're down, whatever. And Mariota just goes dink, 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 finishes 22 of 23. Now, remember, it was Phillip Rivers tying Ryan Tannehill 25 of 25. This is the first time ever that a quarterback has had a minimum of 20 attempts, has had that completion percentage, and the team is lost. Probably. I don't know if that's really a stat, but I think it is.
I don't believe that's true because I think Derek Carr lost a game with a 96% completion rate earlier this year.
No, I don't.
32 attempts.
No, I don't think you're right.
They win that game?
Yes, probably. I think my stats. We'll find out. Cold hard facts.
I was gonna say, way to step on my my bit here. I'll just cross that one off.
Nobody's gonna listen. Nobody's listening at 6:22.
Nope, everyone listens to all 3 hours. I'm just crossing this one.
Number 2.
Got Got to hurry here. Launching a three. It is up. It's good for the Bears. 54 on his 7th triple.
Beers?
That's what I heard, and it has to be Beard, right?
I think it's Beard.
Got to hurry here.
That's what
Launching
he said.
a three. It is up. It's good for the Bears.
He says beers, dude.
I think he says beard, but he doesn't enunciate the D, so it kind of...
Listen to the S at the
Launching
end.
a three. It is up. It's good for the Bears.
You hear this?
54 on his 7th triple. Launching a three. It is up. It's good for the Bears.
I think that's the tss in the stadium. That's in the stadium.
All right, well, we used up all our time to talk about the game by obsessing as to whether or not the guy said beard or beers. Of course, we know he meant beard. It's just a question on the pronunciation.
I have some stats about James Harden later.
Coming up at 8:35,
Yeah.
Kyle Madson's Cold Hard Fact.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Coors Light. Okay, number 3.
Empty
Bears.
backfield for Blake. 3 right, 2 left. Shotgun, he drops the throw. Bortles looks, fires deep down the field. Wants Dante Moncrief. Dante has a catch into Colts territory, still on his feet. Along the right sideline, inside the 20, to the 10, to the 5.
Yeah, not important because Blake Bortles, although that was a good stat from him, he got benched. Blake Bortles is getting benched for who is it? Who's coming in for him? Why am I blanking, Kyle? Who's coming in for Blake Bortles?
Cody Kessler.
Cody Kessler. Oh, Cody. He's good.
USC legend Cody
Really
Kessler.
good. This is part of the just absolute catastrophic season for the Jaguars. We'll talk about this later because they got more bad news yesterday. We don't really care about the Jaguars out here other than this, to me, a fascinating NFL story.
Really, really interesting because they look like they were going to be around for a while.
And I want to talk to you about Leonard Fournette, who we have other news about, but also did Leonard Fournette single-handedly change the arc of the Jaguars for the worse? And I want to talk about that when we get back, and we're coming right back. Kyle, please tell me you haven't heard any parody songs today.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, can you do me a favor and don't go on Twitter during the break?
Okay.
Don't look for anything.
Okay, fine.
Because it's
I won't go on Twitter
We
during
both
the break.
follow the same thing. When we come back, I have a parody song I just heard about 5 minutes ago, and I really think you're going to appreciate it.
Okay, great.
All right.
Can't wait.
Okay, it's The Drive. Yeah, you can. Sports 1140 KHTK.
Good morning. This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. Week 12 of the NFL. Week 12? What was that? Week 12 of the NFL season wrapped up last night. 3/4 of the way through the season, the Texans pounded the Titans 34-17 in Houston. Lamar Miller. Week 12.
Week 12.
Lamar Miller ran wild. Had 162 yards on 12 carries, including a 97-yard touchdown.
12 carries.
That a lot of people aren't talking about this. One Carmichael day of his fantasy football league.
That's a
game,
fact.
not his league, his game.
Yeah, game. Let's not get presumptuous.
The Jaguars announced yesterday that they're benching quarterback Blake Bortles in favor of Cody Kessler this week against the Colts. They'll also be without running back Leonard Fournette, who was suspended for his involvement in a fight during Sunday's loss to the Bills. Fournette, though, is appealing that suspension. And in the NBA last night, Kevin Durant had 49 points to help the Warriors overcome an 18-point deficit to beat the Magic 116-110. James Harden had a monster game for the Rockets of 54 points, 8 rebounds, and 13 assists in a 135-131 overtime loss to the Wizards. The Jazz got blown out by the Pacers 121-88. The Hornets snuck past Milwaukee 110-107, and the Celtics got back in the win column with a 124-107 win in New Orleans. The Spurs also beat the Bulls, and the Timberwolves beat the Cavs. It's 6:32. Peak Financial wants to talk retirement. Dial pound 250 and say the word money. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK. 12.
12. Playoffs.
Here we go. The drive continues now.
I like playing Like It or Spike It on this show, and I came into today having one song to play, and that's from Marvin Bagley. He dropped a new track yesterday. We'll like or spike. We're on TV, Kyle. People can see your quiet facial expressions. We'll get your opinions on the song. We'll do that later because I found a new song. I'm very, very excited to play for people, especially you, Kyle.
Is it? What's the name of Marvin Bagley's new song?
I don't know. Look at Me Now.
Look at Me Now. That's right. Is it Rubber Chicken, Look at Me Now by Marvin Bagley?
It is not. That would be amazing. Still need to get Marvin and or Iman. We really need. How is nobody in Sacramento that does music stuff gotten Iman Shumpert and Marvin Bagley to do a song?
Maybe they're working on something. They're in the middle of a season, FYI.
I like to think, Kyle, that we're people that can get things done, and we're really just an avatar for the fans. That's kind of our job here.
Sure.
Maybe we can talk to them and say, what needs to happen? Like, what if the fans wrote, well, I guess all the fans couldn't get together and write a song, but is it the writing? Would they want to write it themselves? Do we just hand it to them and they produce it? We need to ask them. I need to go out to a practice and say, guys, what would it take? Well, what would it take for you guys to do a Kings song? And fans would embrace it. It's great. It's great exposure for them. And they're what I like to call, with no disrespect, their hobby. It's a hobby. That doesn't mean they're bad at it. It's obviously the NBA is their profession.
Their potential future career.
Correct. I want to take care of one question on the text line at 441140, and also one statement. I don't often say this because as a former caller to this station, I always have a special place in my heart, and I love and appreciate people that call in and people that text in. And I don't know if yesterday was because we came back from vacation or because our show was full of terrible content, or a combination of both. But yesterday on the text line and the phones, they were terrible. They were terrible.
Really rough yesterday.
Really poor performance. And I'd like to see that, Jiffy Lube sponsors our text line for a reason. Firewing sponsors our guest line for a reason. Let's earn that, guys.
And I feel like it's a bummer because it was really strong the Wednesday before we went to break.
One of the strongest performances we've had in a long time.
Really excellent.
Maybe Monday was a trap show. And they looked
that's what happened.
They looked past it.
Well, the show was like the Arizona Cardinals of shows.
I think so. First day back.
So I can see why it would be a trap show.
Let's step it up today. On the text line at 441140, on the phone lines at 1-800-912-1140. One text in, and I'll handle this and then play you the song, Kyle. Dave Yeager has had one solid season during his 3 years here. Do we bring him back if this season plays out as currently expected and we're a 500 team? Good season, but outside of this year, I haven't felt confident in him. Here's what my response would be. I feel very strongly about this. If the Kings finish 500 this year, you don't just bring him back.
41-41.
30, even 38 and 44, somewhere in that range. If the Kings win 35-plus games, I'll even go that low. The reason why you haven't seen a good performance out of Dave Yeager is the same reason I would say to anybody in whatever job you're in. In our job. Kyle, we struggle to be decent, much less good. But what if our signal instead of 50,000 watts was 10,000? And what if our microphones, instead of being these beautiful Jiffy Lube sponsored expensive microphones, were like a karaoke microphone? And what if we had no access to the internet? And I would ask anyone listening right now to apply it to your job. You're a roofer, our favorite job. The one we have the most respect for, apparently, is roofers. But what if you had like the worst tar to lay, the worst shingles, and every roof you tried to roof was jagged? You're a doctor, but you have to use instruments from the early 1900s. You're a lawyer, but you're not allowed to research cases. Whatever, you're a chef, which is really the best example. You are a world-class Michelin star chef, but you have to do all your shopping at a discount grocery, and you only have $30 to buy a meal for 10 people. It doesn't matter how talented you are if you don't have the ingredients. The Kings have had terrible ingredients, or just young ingredients now, since Yeager got here. His franchise player, an all-star, perennial all-star, got traded just as Yeager was getting going. He hasn't had anything to work with, and the stuff he has had to work with wasn't ready. De'Aaron Fox has developed tremendously. Harry Giles looks like he's turning a corner. Marvin Bagley is in now. Nemanja Bjelica was on his way back to Serbia, and Vlade plucked him out of there, and Yeager put him in, and he's done well. Willie Cauley-Stein has developed. Yeah, I would have already extended Dave Yeager and his coaching staff if you're asking me. But my God, if he were to finish anywhere near 500, it's a no-brainer. So that's that. That's the answer to that. Now, Kyle, The Ringer is the website founded by Bill Simmons. I like a lot of their content. Not all of it, a lot of it. They just put out a parody song, and I want you and the fans to like or spike it. Are you familiar with the song originally by Leonard Cohen, covered very well, in my opinion, even better, by a guy named Jeff Buckley, the late, great Jeff Buckley, called Halleluka? You'll be familiar with it, I think.
I think so.
I think when you hear it. It's a very, very classic song. This is The Ringer with, and it's a fake live performance. And the name of this song is Halleluka.
Well, I heard there was a wonder boy that many teams would not employ, but you don't really care for Euros, do ya?
Okay.
So where would he go, the fourth, the fifth, or would he fall and be a Nick? The baffling Kings took Bagley over Luka.
Ouch.
Halleluka, 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 Halleluka.
This is going to make so many people angry.
Oh, it is. I just want likes or spikes. We're presenting without comments, as they say on Twitter.
Well, his game was strong, but we needed proof. We hadn't seen him play Mizzou, but his playmaking and passing overthrew ya.
It's about Luka Doncic, everyone.
And he led the break, it wasn't fair. His step back three flew through the air. It fell and Dallas traded up for Luka. Halleluka, Halleluka.
Don't do that.
Halleluka, Halleluka.
I think we get one more verse here. I haven't heard this last verse yet. It's as far as I got.
Well, maybe he should have been your pick. Even though he's white and thick, he's colder than a tall glass of kombucha.
Oh, what's the rhyme coming?
And we all cheered for his debut, and injured Dirk was cheering too, and every Madson shouted Halleluka.
Okay.
Halleluka, 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 Halleluka.
I think we get the idea.
Hilarious. That's really, really creative. Like, forget the market.
Right.
And forget the shot at the Kings in there. That's objectively very funny.
I completely agree with you. I think that's very well done.
And if you followed The Ringer at all leading up to the draft, huge Luka fans over there at The Ringer.
Yes.
Almost to a person. And that site and the people on it attached themselves to players. Like, they had the whole Klay theism video.
Yes.
About Klay Thompson. So they just attach themselves to players and have like these little cults.
Oh, they're very Hy-Vee over there. Yeah. I would.
So are we, though.
Of course we are. I would just say as we go to break. You mentioned market. I get the market we're in. I of course am a Kings fan too, but I would ask you, as the text line is brutalizing this, I would ask you to, as you said, forget about this. Is not a segment about they should have drafted Luka over Bagley. It's simply a segment about a parody song that has to do with Luka Doncic. That song was a hot piece of dog crap. This song is effing garbage.
How do you... it was objectively funny.
That was creepy? What was creepy?
Creative.
Creepy. One guy says he couldn't understand a word that was in the song. Really? I thought it was pretty understandable. Do you have a problem understanding the song?
Nope.
You know, to be fair, of course, Marty from Philly comes in with, that's actually a great use of some of the original lyrics. I have both Buckley and Cohen's version. I approve.
That's peak Marty.
That's peak Marty. All right, we will be fair, and we will play Marvin Bagley's song. later on in the program.
And then we'll go to break right now because we're late.
We're going to do that, too. We'll take a break when we come back. Texans win their 8th in a row. James Harden goes bonkers. And I thought the Magic were going to win last night. I am silly. We'll get into all that next. Sports 1140 KHTK. I want to thank the many people that have texted and tweeted over the last week. Truly upset that Amazon has stolen our song in their Christmas ads.
I could not agree more.
Telling you, it makes me smile from ear to nose when so many people associate this song with us.
Yes.
And then carry it over to Amazon. Real quick history lesson, in case you're wondering, and you're probably not. There are 4 homage songs that you hear every day on this program. The open, and we're going to probably change up our music here soon. I like to do that about once a year. The open is California Love. That's an homage to Uriah Faber. That's his walk-in song. You then hear this song. That's an homage to my years on the Don Geronimo show. That was his open song. Then I believe next hour, top 7 o'clock, it is Jet's Cold Hard Bitch, which was my open song for pretty much my entire tenure, 9 to midnight. And then you'll hear, I think at 8 o'clock, Muse, Uprising, and that was my open song when I did my podcast for a year and a half when I took my unplanned hiatus from KHTK. So, as Don used to say, if you steal from me, you've stolen twice. I cannot take credit for that song. It's a good radio open song, though, Kyle Madson.
Really, really good.
Kyle Madson with his Cold Hard Facts debuting today at 8:35, and he's got something for us right now.
Oh, wait, my timeline refreshed, and now it's gone. Stand by. I always pay attention to who sent the tweet, so I've got it right here. You need to relax. Marcus Mariota and Phillip Rivers' Week 12 numbers combined.
Yeah.
50 of 52. 562 yards. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's 10 points short of a perfect passer rating.
I don't, and it's really going to upset me if you do. I don't understand passer ratings sometimes. I see a guy who's like 9 of 11 for 4 touchdowns and no picks, and he's got a perfect passer rating. And then I see a guy who's like 19 of 19 for 300 yards and a touchdown. And he's not perfect.
It factors in, because that's almost 10. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing for you.
Good.
I got nothing.
Because I was really afraid you'd be like, well, actually, Dave, what it does. and I don't like people that know that much stuff.
And I know that, like, things count negatively. Like 0 for 10 with 10 throws into the 5th row.
Yeah.
Is a 39.6.
Okay.
Is like the lowest you can get.
That's what I would have as a quarterback.
No.
No?
Because you get negative points for interceptions.
I wouldn't. Well, I've told you before, I would hand the ball off every time.
But yeah, so the lowest, if you Dave, are able to field the shotgun snap and just throw it to a part of the field.
Which I would.
In the vicinity of a receiver.
Underhand laterals.
Right, just like a shovel pass that falls short.
Yep.
You would have a 39.6. But then if you start throwing interceptions, that's how it gets lower than that.
We're going to talk NFL later. We'll also have Matt Barrows on. I haven't had Matt in a couple weeks because of the holiday. We'll have him on at 8:05 to talk 49ers. Were you just giving me the peace sign, like awesome, or are you saying 2 minutes in the second? Okay.
Both.
Storylines from the weekend in football, too. How I find myself kind of quietly rooting for the Chargers, A, because they historically suck, B, because their situation is so weird that it's just so the fan thing and LA and all that, and I root for them a little bit, and they're 8-3. But how about what happened over the weekend? Game is completely in hand. They run a reverse with Melvin Gordon, who gets leg whipped unintentionally, I think, but leg whipped either way. And he's done for the year. Like, what are you thinking?
Really, really tough look.
I never understand that when a game is in hand, whether it's basketball or football, not really baseball, but basketball or football, when a game is in hand, take your stars out for that reason.
In that scenario, it was 28-10.
Mm-hmm.
in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
There is a real, because football coaches are super paranoid. They're not looking at the game. What?
Nothing.
They're not looking at the game the way you and I and everybody else is. They're not.
I know.
Because if that coach takes Melvin Gordon out, if Anthony Lynn takes Melvin Gordon out and Austin Eckler fumbles and the Cardinals return it for a touchdown, and then the Chargers go 3 and out and the Cardinals score a touchdown on the next play, all of a sudden it's a 1-score game and it's going, hey, why the hell did you take Melvin Gordon out in the third quarter?
I understand
He's
I understand
super paranoid.
I get it. But let me just submit this. You have to know what you're doing as a coach. And we'll finish this segment like this, Kyle. I'm going to read some numbers off to you. Ready? They were down what? So they were down 18 in the third?
Yeah.
18. They were down 18. Remember that number?
Mm-hmm.
18. 6, 0, 14, 17, 28, 17, 10, 18, 14, 21, 10. That is the grand total of the Cardinals' offensive output.
Yeah, dude, I get you. I got it. No, I'm with you. I am on your side here because the fan watching, would do the same thing, but NFL coaches aren't viewing it the way you and I.
Well, good, because now one NFL coach is going to view their 8-3 team that probably just lost any chance of doing something. And granted, they probably weren't going to win the Super Bowl, but you're 8-3, and Melvin Gordon is a phenomenal running back. It's what could have happened to Andrew Luck that didn't.
Right.
That happened to Melvin Gordon. We'll take a break. When we come back, let's check in on some basketball. James Harden last night. Woof. Great night, but not great night. Also, the Warriors make a comeback. Kevin Durant's doing quite well. He might be good in this league. And I want to talk about the Utah Jazz game, too. And I'm going to tie that into your Sacramento Kings. This is Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK.